and you put Holy Cross on the line and stop the clock.
It is a third on Sterling Melville, and the guy who stands at the line for the Crusaders, a good one from the stripe, Devin Brown. 83% overall. Now it's 14 in this game.
Sorry, Bob. Still has not hit a three-point shot in this game. It's extremely unusual for Devin Brown.
Holy Cross, in fact, 2 for 13 from three-point terrain in this contest.
And that would tell you a lot about why they're down 11. College basketball today, you must make three-point shots to win games. When we had Army-Navy last week, and Navy won the game, the equation was simple. They hit 11 threes. 3 days earlier, they were 1 for 25 from three and lost to Holy Cross by 21.
And with about 5.5 minutes to go, Biner back in, along with Cavateo defending for Holy Cross, having drawn within 11.
And this is where Colgate is running some clock and putting the ball in Hoban's hands with the clock under 10.
Shot clock now at 5 on the long-range jumper. Not there. And Colgate, a little bit out of sync the last couple of minutes, opening the door for Holy Cross.
Well, I think Hoban had a couple more seconds to try to get some penetration there, but when you've got a hot shooting night, you think you can make anything. And he thought he could make that shot.
Stevens off the dribble, try to extend the 7-0 run, and it's now 9-0 for Holy Cross.
And here's the nervous moment for Colgate. I think Emmett Davis is going to call a timeout here because they have not been in this position very often this season, having had a big lead and seeing it now dwindle into single digits.
After we're finished here on the East Coast, we'll send you across the country to the West Coast Conference for a first-place battle of women's basketball teams. The 17-4 Gonzaga Bulldogs arrive at the Keene Pavilion to take on the Gales of St. Mary's. Next, exclusively on the CBS College Sports Network. Expect anything. Vandersloot leading Gonzaga to those numbers. Top scorer, #1 in assists. 3 steals per game for Gonzaga, which has won its last 7 and 15 of 16.
What I think Emmett Davis and Colgate need to do right now coming out of this timeout is get back into their offense. As you talked about, they've been out of sync the last couple of possessions. Don't worry about the clock. Just run your offense and get the best shot you can whenever it comes.
Pascal and Obey-Sacred's got the 4 fouls and able to exploit that stat. Pascal quickly goes to the hole.
Great minds think alike. But he got him the ball in the low post in position to shoot the ball.
Biner out to Cavateo, got a running start, and he lays it in.
And using that left hand going to the basket very effectively.
15 for Cavateo, difference back to 9. High-low feed, and Cavateo comes up with the steal again from Pascal.
Pascal in the low post, basket. Pascal in the high post, turnover.
Stevens got a bit of a screen from Obey-Sacred, leaves it short. Offensive rebound. And then a tie-up with a foul. Obey-Sacred got into the act with Cavateo.
Again, Obey-Sacred makes a great play there to not foul, reaching over the back for the rebound, but then he misses the shot and commits a frustration foul. And he'll stay on the floor even though he's got 4 fouls.
Cavateo's first.
Oh, they called it on Cavateo. My bad, sorry.
We reached the 4-minute mark. Colgate again nursing that 9-point lead.
Thought they had Obey-Sacred for the reach, but they saw Cavateo on the weak side.
If they had Obey-Sacred, he'd be on the bench right now. We've got a timeout here in Worcester. Another foul on the floor. Under 4 to go.
The play of the game may still be ahead of us, but for the moment, we'll go for the 4-point play by Mike Venezia there in the corner. Nice pass by Joe Hoban to set him up, and great concentration to make the shot while Obey-Sacred was fouling him.
Led to a 4-point trip for the Colgate Raiders.
And Colgate here needs to run their offense, not worry about clock at all. Just try to get Hoban or Jayu a good shot.
Pascal back on the high post, this time not with a pass, but with a handoff.
I'm still not crazy about seeing him out there from Colgate's point of view, but now they've got it in the right hands.
Jayu go to work against Biner. Shot clock's under 10. Jayu with a leader, but Pascal follows up from the weak side.
And that's Pascal's game. Get inside, get to the boards. Jayu sets it up because they had to double him, and he comes from the weak side for that putback.
Geister's been very quiet in the second half for Holy Cross. Really, the Raiders doing a terrific job on the boards. 16 offensive rebounds among that total you just saw.
Doing a great job on defense here. First, forcing Holy Cross to use 22 seconds on the shot clock, and then getting the offensive foul call on Keister. That's a great defensive possession if you're Colgate. Now the officials are going to talk it over for a minute.
Jack Sweeney with the original call.
I think the question is whether the ball was in the air, in which case it would be 1-and-1, or is it an offensive foul, player possession. They decided after consulting it was player possession. Because if the ball's in the air on a pass, then it would have been 1-and-1 at the other end.
Cross again applying the full court pressure.
Frankly, Emmett Davis is probably happier to have the ball.
Jayu now on the high post for the Raiders. By the way, this Colgate lineup, as a general rule, shoots free throws well, contrary to Holy Cross. Something to think about perhaps down the stretch. Rolls, gives it away, however, got caught in the air, nowhere to go. And it's Brown trying to take advantage. He'll drive it all the way. By his lonesome to lay it in.
Nobody stops the ball there and allows Holy Cross to get a quick basket. You're right about Colgate's free throw shooting. The reason I said Emmett Davis would rather have the ball was because even though they did turn it over, they milked 23 seconds of the clock.
There in the 2-minute mark, Jayu handles on the backcourt, defended by Cavateo. He's in trouble, and Emmett Davis bails him out with a timeout.
And he called that timeout about 0.7 seconds before he palmed the basketball.
He called that timeout about 2 steps away from Jayu out on the floor.
That's one of the rules that's changed in college basketball. A few years ago, he couldn't have called that timeout from the bench. But there you see, he picks the ball up and practically carries it into the front court, and that's why Emmett Davis is standing there going, please, I've got to get the ball out of his hands that far from the basket.
Jayu closing in on the 1,000-point mark, but he's got a long way to go to catch Tucker Neal with 2,075 as the all-time leader.
Somebody told me this week that they played in a pickup game with Tucker Neal years ago in which he shot 19 of 21 from 3. Another great shooter, Mike Ferreira. We went by Donald Foyle, who we talked about earlier. But Tucker Neal was a part of that 95 championship team. And then Kyle Romer, who, as you can see, his career was spread out because of injuries. But he was a key player on that 08 team that went to the championship game. Tucker Neal could shoot the basketball.
Mitch Rolls handles at the point for Colgate. Before he ever shot it, before his dad ever put up a goal in the backyard, he wanted him to refine his ball handling. He's become a very adept ball handler for the Raiders, and now Hoban left alone, and he misses from the wing.
Thought about it too much.
Only his second miss of the night. Brown gives it up. Cavateo with the reverse.
Colgate 2 straight times has not done a good job of converting from offense to defense. The last thing in the world they want is to give up a basket in 5 seconds.
And with 90 seconds to go, a 7-point difference after that make-in transition for the Crusaders.
If I'm Holy Cross right now, I've got to think about who are the poor free throw shooters on the floor right now.
By the way, arrow in favor of Colgate. Holy Cross has scored 15 of the last 19.
It's a damaging possession already for Holy Cross because 30 seconds has gone off the clock.
Shot clock at 5. Rolls. Off the pick by Pascal. And off the dribble with a miss. Cavateo brings it down.
Still not an awful possession because they got the clock under a minute.
Cavateo again drives and dishes. Stevens from the corner. Flatlined it. And a rebound. Fought for by Cavateo. Out to Brown. Good look. Sets and releases.
Absolutely superb play by Cavateo. Not only to get to the ball, but to recognize he had a shooter open on the perimeter, his best three-point shooter, and finding him. It's important that the fouls, because the next 2 times Holy Cross fouls, and they're going to have to use a timeout here on the inbounds. The next 2 times Holy Cross fouls, Colgate will be shooting 1-and-1, not 2. And again, you know that Milan Brown over there is looking
in a conference championship game to advance to the NCAA tournament. So he knows something about coming back. Hand off to Hoban. He's got Jayu. Can he finish with a clutch?
Great play off the inbounds there. Great call by Emmett Davis to get his best player a dunk.
Stevens off the dribble. Jayu going to bump into him and disrupt that shot. Loose ball on the floor. Precious time elapsing for Holy Cross with the arrow to Colgate.
And that was an example, that inbounds play, of being aggressive. Rather than letting Holy Cross take the game to you by fouling, you take the game to them with a called play that creates a 2-on-1 and even better, a 1-on-none, which is the best offensive play in basketball.
Still a 2-possession game. We get a 6-point deficit for Holy Cross.
And I would think that Holy Cross, well, again, they'll try to get a 5-second call. They'll try to get a steal. But I think they want to foul right away. And the one thing that Colgate wants to do is get the ball in the hands of a shooter.
Only foul shooter below 70% is Pascal. He's at 68%. He's at the other end of the floor with Rolls defended by Cavateo and Brown.
And notice what they did. They sent Pascal long, so the only way he would touch the ball would be if he was open for a dunk.
Colgate looking to hold on for a third win in its last 5 games, but unable to hold on. Venezia turning it over to Holy Cross. And all the coaches in this league are so great to deal with. There's no better guy than Emmett Davis.
As good as it gets.
Now Brown, defended by Hoban, goes by him. Cut off in the lane by Venezia. Wouldn't go, and a rebound to Joe Hoban and the Colgate Raiders.
Terrific defense there because they forced Brown into the lane, meaning he didn't have a look at a 3 and then didn't foul. Oftentimes in that situation, when the player gets in the lane, the defending team is so eager to stop him that they foul and they stop the clock and put him on the line. Instead, Joe Hoban goes through.
Hoban stands at the line, sitting on 21 points.
And that gets one of those 1-and-1s out of the way, and it also makes it a 3-possession game.
Might have been a long bus ride for the Colgate Raiders.
It'll be a short one back.
Shorter going back to Hamilton, New York.
Holy Cross just needs to get a shot up here.
Biner will do that with the rejection by Pascal. Jayu still staying after it.
Pascal's had some issues playing out of the high post tonight, but he's really had a good game, particularly defensively.
John, I think we have an injury to official Jack Sweeney.
His
crewmate Mark Shea came over to make sure he could finish this contest with 14 seconds to go, and Colgate again on the verge of a 4th win overall. At a second in league play. Stevens defended by Hoban. A 3 off the mark. And Jayu on the glass. Again, no second chance for Holy Cross. The story throughout.
Colgate's done a great rebounding job at both ends of the court. And this is a very big win for the Raiders. Obviously, when you've been struggling the way they have, any win is a big win. But to come on the road, make that long bus trip through the snow, and go home with a victory, you're right. That bus trip will feel like nothing going back up to Hamilton, New York.
At the outset in our Scion key matchup, we talked about Yao Jayu against the Holy Cross front line as Jayu connects for his 20th point. Well, the backcourt of Colgate played extremely well, with Hoban leading the way for the Raiders tonight, too. So well-balanced effort by Colgate.
Hoban was great, but Venezia and Rolls were both very good. They got a real team effort. Pascal gave them help. Everybody came through tonight, and that's why they're walking out of here with a win.
And as a result, Holy Cross misses on an opportunity to move into second place in the conference. Goins with the layup, but of course far too little, far too late for the Crusaders, who dropped the decision at home. Too much of a deficit to overcome in the second half against Emmett Davis and the Colgate Raiders, who win by 7. Don't forget, coming up next, out in the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga versus St. Mary's, top 2 teams on the CBS College Sports Network in the WCC.